Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, August 29th. David Sikorsky here with CCA Maryland, giving you some updates on what we've been up to and what we have on tap. As always, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. You'll find timely information on these platforms to let you know what's going on. And also, if you haven't done it yet, get a link, bookmark your link tree on your phone. So the link tree is the link in the comments, the link in the bio on Instagram. It's where we have all the updated links for the things happening at CCA and ways you can stay connected with us. And so if you follow us already, you may have seen that we have a big campaign coming up with the launch next week. Our Greater Baltimore chapter has their annual fundraising banquet at Port Covington Marina called Rye for Reefs. And that is the launch of our Sagamore Whiskey Rye for Reefs campaign. And so at the fundraising dinner will be your first chance to get your hands on a little bit of barrel number 83. This is a barrel select choice that we made earlier this year with volunteers touring the Sagamore facilities and tasting this whiskey to make sure we were picking the best to commemorate 10 years of doing the Living Reef Action Campaign, which is coming this year. And so Rye for Reefs will directly support that program. You make a donation and you get your own bottle. The bottles are numbered, and we will be holding back different numbers for various things that will happen later this year. But make sure you get your hands on the Rye for Reefs rye whiskey at our event next Friday. If you can't make that event, look into October 30th, where we will bring Rye for Reefs whiskey to the Annapolis banquet at Chesapeake Bay Foundation on October 30th. So September 5th, Rye for Reefs next Friday. Come on out, enjoy us. Enjoy a great evening on the water here in Baltimore at Baltimore Peninsula. Under a tent, music, food, oysters, grilled oysters, raw oysters, a great buffet, some great desserts, and just great camaraderie talking about the work we do and the last decade of Living Reef Action Campaign and last 30 years of the work CCA Maryland's been doing here in the Chesapeake Bay, ensuring the health and conservation of your resources and our access to them as the general public, as recreational anglers. Also on September 6th, big party, family friendly, lots of fun. Come on out to Baltimore Peninsula for Oyster Blues and Brews, the third annual festival, which includes 4 different music lineups, one of which is an 11-piece band is going to be rocking and rolling right there on the waterfront. Port Covington Marina out on the pier, which goes out to the 2 giant gray ships you can't miss from I-95. That's what you're looking for, and come on out from 12 to 6. Check out the website and make sure you RSVP for some of the activities right now. You'll click the Get Involved link on the website, and that's where you can sign up for free fishing experiences because the Rod and Reef Slam is coming back to Oyster Blues and Brews, and that is where we work with our friends from the Chesapeake Bay Foundation and the Chesapeake Oyster Alliance to get folks out on a charter boat fishing experience. And so the Catherine 2 will be up here taking up to 30 folks fishing on 2 different trips throughout that 12 to 6 window to head out to the Fort Carroll Reef just outside where the Key Bridge was. There's the Fort Carroll Reef right there at Fort Carroll. And we'll be fishing to see all the different species that live around an oyster reef and showing folks a fishing experience. We'll also have our friends from Combos for Kids out at the property taking private trips out. So they'll be doing flexible trips, and you'll be able to hop on board with one of their captains and go out and enjoy a similar experience throughout the day. And so RSVP for those activities, please, so we can make sure we're lining all that up and connecting with you. If you're select one of those trips, you come on out at noon and we'll get you set up and ready to go. There'll also be sailing boats you can go out on throughout the day, and lots of different activities with nonprofit partners. Chesapeake Bay Foundation will be placing a massive amount of oyster cages in the water at the marina to help filter and clean the waters here in the harbor or in the Baltimore area, the middle branch of the Patapsco. We'll also have a shoreline cleanup from our friends at Maryland Waterways Foundation. You can sign up for that and help beautify the area. And again, just come out and enjoy the vendors, the music. It's just a fantastic family-friendly day, arts and crafts and photo booths and face painting, and just you're going to have a blast. Don't miss Oyster Blues and Brews here in 2025 on September 6th. And if you can make it out Friday night, we'd love to see you at Rye for Reefs again, where you can get your hands on the Sagamore Rye barrel number 83 and support us building your next fishing spot. So we also have some advocacy stuff on the horizon. In August, I attended the Atlantic States Marine Fisheries Commission meeting, as I always do as a board member for Maryland. And the striped bass and red drum fisheries are looking at some possible changes, and we want your input. So the way the commission works is all the states work together. We deliberate over potential management actions. Then we send them out to the public. And the fantastic staff at ASMFC works with all the different agencies up and down the coast to host public meetings. These are in person. These are hybrid. There's also a YouTube videos which will be posted by the ASMFC staff, so you can get completely up to speed on what's being considered. With striped bass, we continue to see spawning issues in the Chesapeake Bay, observed low spawning over the last 6 years, driven by poor environmental conditions. The striped bass tend to thrive when we have cold, wet winters and a slow, gradual warm up in the spring that times up with all the different food and the different water quality components lining up for those tiny little larval eggs, or eggs turning into little larval fish, swimming off to become the beautiful trophies that we want to catch and put back for another day. And so there's lots of complexity to the striped bass fishery. It's a question of when, where, why, who, what's going on with the population of the fish. And again, remember, those fish start as eggs and end up as 20-plus-year-old large spawning stock fish, which is what ASMFC focuses on as we manage the stock. We have goals to meet in trying to rebuild our population by 2029, and it's difficult to do that when Mother Nature isn't providing more fish, and we're taking fish throughout their life cycle up and down the coast. And so it's a balancing act. I like to describe it to people all the time as something similar to your checking account, just way more complicated, but trying to balance money in there so you can spend it, but bring more in. And so that's ultimately what conservation is. It's about making sure we're making sound decisions to utilize our resource. On the red drum front, there's some concern about population status in the South Atlantic. And so the states down there will be focusing on different things they can consider to make changes. The state of Florida has been proactive in their red drum fishery. And so there's some really good conversation going on around how do we craft these measures to be fair and equitable to various states, because it's not easy to try and align everything and understand scientifically what the real status of the population is and what prior changes may have done to make a positive or negative impact on fisheries. In the Chesapeake region, one of the things that we're looking at, and I'm very interested as a board member, is that right now in the 3 jurisdictions, Maryland, Virginia, and Potomac River, there's 3 different size limits and bag limits for red drum. So I could leave out of the St. Mary's River, have a 1 fish limit in Maryland when I'm in the river, still fishing in Maryland waters in the Potomac, have a 5 fish bag limit, and then maybe sneak out into the bay, go around the corner, head down to Virginia, and have a 3 fish limit there. So a little confusing. And in general, in fisheries management, we try and find some balance. We try and find stability that's easy for the public to understand. Yes, I know it may not look that way when you open up the regs book, because unfortunately things are more complicated than many of us would like. And so bottom line is, when it comes to red drum, this is your chance to provide some comments. Maybe aligning bags and size limits doesn't work, but it's a chance for recreational anglers to weigh in and get caught up to speed on what's happening with management. So stand by and please review in the newsletter. We have some links on our to our website, to the ASMFC press releases. Also, if you just go to the ASMFC website, you'll find great information there that is maintained by their fantastic team. Again, it's the boards, it's the folks that represent the states that are in charge of the decision making, and it's their staff that just does a fantastic job organizing public comment and providing fantastic customer service. So kudos to them for their hard work. Thank you so much for what you do to make my job as a board member just a little bit easier. And we look forward to seeing everybody at the October annual meeting, when the decisions will be made on these actions. That's also the time of year when we'll get a first look at the young of year analysis that DNR and Virginia and other jurisdictions up and down the coast are doing, because fingers crossed, with our snow and a little colder winter last year, we may have a higher abundance of young striped bass in the Chesapeake Bay to help turn around this lull we've had in reproduction, which of course little fish turn into big fish. So without them being born, we can't maintain a larger spawning stock and better fishery for the future. And all eyes are on the decision making happening this year. The moving forward in habitat. So of course, Rye for Reefs and the Living Reef Action Campaign now is 10 years old, and I'm excited to announce that we now have a Eastern Shore reef ball trailer. The trailer has been purchased. Of course, that campaign kicked off thanks to Gillespie Precast and their president, Jim Talbot, a CCA member, who rallied the troops and have led us to raising money that we've restricted to the Eastern Shore program so we can get these tools in the hands of so many great volunteers and partners on the Eastern Shore. Reef ball building is not new to the Eastern Shore. We've been doing it there for a while, and we have some fall dates I'll be sharing soon for some reef ball building activities. And we're deploying reefs all over the Eastern Shore. So this will just give us a chance to work with more people and look at expanding our horizons in ways that we can deploy more. And so speaking of deployments, as I speak at the Chesapeake Bay Environmental Center, there's a team placing a protective shoreline of reef balls, mini bay-sized reef balls that will protect the southern shoreline of Chesapeake Bay Environmental Center. This is the area that, if you think about Eastern Bay, the mouth of the Miles River, there's a long stretch of water from Eastern Bay up into Prospect Bay that creates a long fetch and an opportunity for large waves to build up. And so over the years, CBEC has protected their property with various different reef structures, and we're excited to be providing support on this project that has been long coming as we've waited for everything to line up properly. We also have some projects next year and the year after that are penciled in to do similar protections in various portions of Eastern Neck Island Wildlife Refuge and other areas in the Chester. And so we're constantly looking for partners and projects that are off into the horizon where we can maybe work together and connect our student-built projects or other projects into what's happening in your area of the watershed. Later this month, we'll be deploying at the Chesapeake Beach Reef site again. 200 student-made reef balls will be going there to enhance that important spot. And then, as you saw earlier this summer, we did the Clint Waters Reef deployment at Cook's Point in the Chop Tank. And I think we have one more load of reef balls ready to go if weather and everything else allows us to get out and place them somewhere else in the Middle Bay. Chesapeake Bay Foundation is slated to do that deployment out of their Shady Side facility. And so in my mind, I'm thinking Tillman Reef, Clint Waters Reef, or maybe Hollicott's Noose. All three have been a focus, but all three are nice and accessible to both private anglers and charter fishing hubs, especially the Hollicott's Noose spot in Eastern Bay. I know has been an important spot that folks have been out there enjoying. So stand by for more on that. And if you ever have any input on where you want to see a reef be deployed, hit us up in the comments. And before I forget, we're also planning a deployment at the mouth of the Potomac. And so right about where I was talking, maybe fishing for red drum, the mouth of the St. Mary's, there's the Kitts Point Reef site, or Kitts Marsh, maybe. And then right across from it, there is Hog Island. So yeah, Kitts Point and Hog Island. Those are two sites permitted by the Potomac River Fisheries Commission. And they have received some bridge demo rubble over the years, but we want to add some reef pyramids and some reef balls. And so Tall Timbers Marina has been giving us some storage space, and we're in conversations with some contractors down there at the lower Potomac to get these reefs in the water. We'll be talking about different fundraising opportunities and maybe getting some other contractors into our stable to try and maximize the work we can do there in the lower Potomac to enhance those fisheries for folks that like to fish down there in the near future. So stand by for that. We have a brand new map coming out relatively soon that can help you understand where we're planning our deployments and how you can directly donate to each one of them and make us do more work building habitat today for fish tomorrow. And so also, if you're viewing this link this video in our newsletter, scroll on down, check out a video that relates back to a previous topic, the striped bass, and a new video just launched by George Mason University about a study they did and we helped with through our Tag Chesapeake platform last year, as well as our members out on the water helping catch and release striped bass that left the boat with telemetry tags in their backs. It's just like an Easy Pass, as they can go by a sensor, they get pinged, and then help the scientists understand what's happening to that fish in a post-release situation. A big part of the striped bass topic and conversation for many years now has been, what is catch and release mortality? How do we maintain it or manage it to avoid excess mortality and wasted fish? We never want a fish thrown back that was not intended to be utilized to be wasted, because you harvest a fish, obviously you're catching it. That's 100% mortality, but that's a great use of the resource. I love taking home striped bass and feeding my family, and commercial fisheries and charter fisheries also support that opportunity in the region. And that's what we want in the future. But all fishing includes catch and release. There's a million reasons why you may not be able to keep the fish you catch. Size limit, you don't want to, no ice, whatever it is. And the bottom line is fishing will always include a component of possibly having to release the fish that you catch. So what we want is anglers to be educated, but also science to help guide management so that we can balance access for people. Again, that's a big part of the Addendum 3 conversation with striped bass. And the video that just came out from George Mason talks about a below 1% mortality rate up to about an 11% mortality rate as water temperatures change. Coastwide, again, ASMFC assumes 9%. And so that's an 11x use of the fish if compared to harvest. And then as you lower the mortality rate, that would be an even higher use, 1% being 99 to 100% or 100 uses of that fish before mortality occurs. And so it's all about statistics and the science to go into this work. And we can't shape any of this without important science that we can develop through platforms like Tag Chesapeake and partnerships with George Mason University. So stand by for more on that, and make sure you always check those fish you catch, see if there's a tag in them. You might be able to help out with some science yourself. Last but not least, helping out with science is all about is what we're all about at the Great Chesapeake Invasives Count, sponsored by our friends at Yamaha Right Waters. And so make sure you get signed up for that if you're headed out fishing on this long Labor Day weekend, or anytime you're fishing in the Chesapeake Bay watershed, 365 days a year. Go to ccamd.org/count. You download the iAngler app, you snap a picture of your fish or what the fish ate, and you provide it for us to give to DNR, and so they can help manage these species. Blue catfish, snakeheads, and flathead catfish are fantastic angling opportunities, and every single one of those is great on your plate. And so get out there, have some fun. I hope you enjoy this long weekend. I hope to see you at Rye for Reefs, Oyster Blues and Brews, the Annapolis Banquet, or any of our great events coming up in the near future. I'll see you soon. Thank you.